Hello everyone, thanks for tuning in to today's video. We're going to have a look at the weather for the next 10 to 14 days for today's video. Day 10 will take us to the 30th of July, and we'll be able to extend out beyond that with the extended GFS and GWV Ensembles. Maybe around a couple of weeks. We'll have a look at the CFS V2 at the end of the video for the next 4 weeks, and that will get us into, well into August. I'll get on with that for you in a moment. Just say that first. A video release today was our 6 AM UK weather forecast, and we've also released the European outlook. Check out those two bits. Like, share, subscribe on all of the videos. Thank you so much, everybody, for dear man. Obviously, I've been away, as you all know, to Tenerife, so I've had a week away from doing all of this. So I did a live stream last night, which was an amazing live stream. Thank you so much for giving me such an incredible homecoming, everybody. Unbelievable. I think you did all right on the live stream, but obviously I'm going to get back into the flow. You know, turn on the old the old speech and whatnot. So just bear with me. I might be a little bit rusty on this one as we go through everything, but you soon pick it back up. Right, I do anyway. You know, soon pick it back up. So give me a day or two, and I should be back to you know, full gav. Hopefully. Anyway, let's start off. So central in temperature is currently sitting at 16.3, which is 0.3 of a degree above average. That's provisional to yesterday, to the 19th of July. Basically, we're around 61.9 average, probably a little bit below against a more modern average, like 91 to 2020. And we expect that probably to gradually tick down over the next day, probably falling into the 15s. Reason being, here being to the GFS upper air temperature and precipitation ensembles. The next couple of weeks, red line is the 30-year upper air temperature average from Coventry. See, we're below average at the moment. I'm going to generally say below average over the next week to 10 days. Well, there is a bit of a warm-up, just bear that's only a warm sector with an area of low pressure and whatnot. So as we go through the final sort of week, 10 days of July, we're essentially cooler than average. Into early August might be a bit of a hint of a recovery in the upper air temperatures then. But that's a long way off, and even that is very tentative, so, you know, I wouldn't, we might get things a little bit more into the first week of July, well, first week of August, but basically, the next week to 10 days looks quite cool, to be honest. And precipitation-wise, well, plenty to come. Now, the next couple of days, not going to be too bad. Will be showers around, but main dry, lots of dry weather. But over the weekend, into the beginning of next week, looking really unsettled there, with large precipitation spikes, so it could be a little bit of a washout over the weekend. And into next week as well, I'm afraid it looks really unsettled too. Large precipitation spikes through the final days of July and into early August as well. So the weather looks set, unsettled, and quite cool, to be honest. Temperature anomalies from the 20th to 28th of July coming out a little bit below average through northern and also western parts of Europe. And precipitation anomalies from the 20th, 28th of July are coming out wetter than average, especially through the central sway of the country. Scotland, interestingly, is a little bit drier than normal, and that's probably indicative of a little bit of northern blocking that's involved with this unsettled weather pattern. That's sending jet stream southwards a little bit, and does bring the drier weather, not complete dry, but drier weather to more northern regions. The latest Windflow Map from earthnullschool.net shows that we're between areas of low pressure today. So we've got a low off the coast of Norway. We've got more low pressure actually in the Atlantic. And we've got this week just here, which is actually a tropical storm, I think, in the Atlantic as well. More about that tomorrow. Right, okay, let's start going through the chart, David. I thought I'd just explain about what's happening across Europe at the moment. So upper air temperatures show the proper north-south split. Talk about this in the European outlook. So very hard, of course, across southern Europe. We've been hearing about the heat wave that's been going on there in the southern part of Europe over the past week or so. But further north, it's much cooler, fresher scene. A lot of this is down to the jet stream, so I don't often show the jet stream chart, but I ought to show them more. This is where the jet stream is currently positioned today. This is for Thursday, 20th of July. See the jet coming across the Atlantic. We've got these bright curves, jet coming across the Atlantic, then driving southwards, and then it sort of fizzles out a little bit around here, and then we pick up more of a southerly tracking jet stream through here. So where we've got this yellow area going into Portugal, Spain, and then on into France and Germany, that is the jet stream, which means that we're under a trough of low pressure up here. Let's change the colour. So how this works is back to the north of the jet stream, you're going to be under a trough of low pressure a lot of the time, with the trough sort of merging with the jet around here. Now, to the south of the jet, you'll tend to get a ridge of high pressure. So, of course, in winter, how this works is that the jet stream will usually be up here. The main jet stream will usually be there in winter, with the low pressures therefore around there, and there, and the high pressure ridging up from the Azores into northern and west Europe on the southern side of the jet stream. And that's why we have generally milder winters for the UK and for Ireland most of the time, because we pick up southwest wind on the northern side, on the southern side of the jet stream, I should say. How this is working at the moment, though, is that the jet stream is down here, very unusually far south, actually, for this time of the year, which causes, as I say, places the trough through here, and then we get this ridge building up here, which is the heat dome. We're hearing about heat domes in the media and whatnot. There are about, I think, 3 heat domes that are going on at the moment. One in Europe, one in America, one in Asia. So that's the reason that the heat just kind of bottled up, really. You know, the heat wants to go north out of Africa. Same way as in winter, the cold air wants to come south from the Arctic, but often gets bottled up around here by the jet stream being through there. That's the pattern we tend to get in winter. But how it's working at the moment is that heat wants to push northwards, but is being kept bottled up in this area. It can't escape, and so it kind of just starts feeding back on itself. You know, the heat just builds and builds and builds. Almost if you can imagine, like a steam cooker or something, the way that the steam would just collect inside the cooker, and it would just get hotter and hotter and hotter and hotter, because the hit the steam and the heat can't escape, you know, unless you take the lid off, and then the heat will dissipate to some degree, of course, not complete, but will dissipate a little bit via heat transfer. You know, if you take the lid off, heat will start escaping. So the heat is bottled up down across the southern part of Europe by the jet stream that's running through here, until the jet stream goes northwards, or until this arm of the jet kind of weakens anyway, and we revert to like more of a pattern with the jet stream being up here, then the heat will remain down there. Of course, if the jet stream does start moving back northwards, and the Azores high starts pushing back in, then we have got some very, very, very hot air that's down across North Africa and southern parts of Europe that could push northwards. So although we're in a cool and unsettled pattern right now, I wouldn't necessarily rule out the chance of some extreme heat, actually, for the UK and for Ireland at some point before the end of this summer. Obviously, the further on into August we go, the harder it becomes to achieve that. But certainly the first half of August, we can achieve it. And the heat is there. It's just whether the jet stream will move back northwards and will get a mechanism to start allowing that heat to do what it wants to do, which of course is to push northwards ultimately from the tropic to the pole. So we'll wait and see how it all works out, but I hope that explains a little bit about what's going on. It is quite an unusual pattern, this, but it's not unheard of, you know, but we get this pattern. 2017, I think we had quite a similar scenario to this summer. Actually, it's a very similar summer, I think, this so far, 2017, in that we had a warm, dry June, a very warm, dry June in 2017, actually. And then the summer turned cooler and more unsettled. The projection came southwards through July and August. But to the southern side of that jet stream across southern Europe, I think there was some very hot temperatures and some very hot weather as the heat got bottled up down there across that northern part of Africa and into southern Europe by the jet stream, you know, not allowing that heat to escape. So these things happen. Again, though, the temperatures have been quite unusually high, upper 30s to low 40s, even mid 40s Celsius in some places, which is very, very, very hot, and that is something that we've been seeing in the summer since around the middle of last decade. So I hope it explains anyway what's currently going on a little bit with the weather. Right, let's get back to business then. So let's have a let's UK Met Euro run. I'm so sorry, I've gone off on a tangent, but if you found that little bit interesting, let me know through the comments. Right, okay, so let's get back to business. Let's have a UK Met Euro run. Is looking at midnight on Sunday. Low pressure pushing through the country, basically bringing outbreaks of rain with it. And then into the beginning of next week, low pressure sort of moves eastwards, pulling this cool and showery northerly winds. And then another area of low pressure deepening like mad in the Atlantic Wednesday through to Thursday. And look at look at that area of low. We end up with by the end of Wednesday. This is midnight Thursday, 27th of July. That's what we call a dartboard. Reason being, it's got a bullseye right in the middle of below, which is that isobar just there of 980 millibars, I think that is. So that's a very deep area of low pressure for the time of the year, and that's bringing gale force winds and heavy rain across the country. It's probably over the top, but with such warm Atlantic seas, so temperature anomalies, another thing that we've got to be watching out for, especially as we transition to late summer and autumn, with a lot of energy available in the Atlantic as the jet stream begins to get more powerful and invigorate due to the time of the year. We have got to be watching out, I think, for potentially quite unsettled and stormy and wet weather as we move into the latter part of the summer and on into the autumn as well. That will be something else to keep an eye on. But I would suspect that's a little bit over the top from the UK Met synoptically. I can't, again, looking like this Sunday, low pressure is pushing through the coast, bringing quite a bit of rain, or whether that area of low pressure clears out of the way through the early part of next week, turns wind into a cool and showery northwest wind, but another low comes in, not quite as severe as the UK Met, but even so, it's bringing another spell of wet and windy weather there for the middle part of next week. We finish up by mid-down Thursday, 27th of July, looking cool and showery with Icon 2. GFS midnight run, again, bringing low pressure through the country over the weekend. Will be an unsettled weekend with spells of rain at times into the early part of next week, going to cool and showery northwest wind. And then more low pressure comes in off the Atlantic through the middle of next week, bringing further spells of rain with it. Heading up toward day 10, you guessed it, low pressure keeps churning away in the north and in the North Atlantic and across West Europe, bringing plenty of cloud and rain as well into cool and showery northwesterly wind by the final day of the month. That's Monday the 31st of July. And then after that we start to get high pressure, begin to ridge up from the south actually. This is into early August. Signs of a little bit of a change over GFS midnight run. There's something drier and warmer coming into southern parts of the country. Still a little bit on the unsettled side in the north. By the end of the GFS midnight run, which gets us to the 5th of August, that high pressure begins to drift a little bit further east. So we've got a cut-off low in the Atlantic, as I just explained. There's some very hot air that is waiting for us, waiting in the wings if we can tap into it across southern parts of Europe still there. So possibly signs of a pattern change there through the first week of August to a much weaker jet stream pushing back northwards again, starting to allow that heat to escape from southern Europe courtesy of high pressure. It's a long way off. It's like 2 weeks away, so I wouldn't put all that much credence on it, but we might see a bit of a change into first week of August. GFS 6 there, let's see how that one's looking. Again, low pressure and lots of unsettled weather with it over the weekend, showery and cool into the early part of next week, and then into the middle of next week, more low pressure, meaning further spells of rain and or showers as well. That's the end of next week, Friday 28th of July. And you guessed it, low pressure is still sitting over the country, bringing further spells of rain too. Beyond that, it turns a little bit warmer into the south, with some slightly drier weather still unsettled further north beyond day 10. And no build of high pressure in the first week of August on this GFS run. Actually, another low then starts winding itself up. That just keeps the unsettled, cool and wet thing going through the first week of August. So as I say, we might get a change to something drier and warmer through the first week of August. But at this stage, I'd be very cautious about the prospect and the possibility on that. If you're enjoying the video, please can you like, share, subscribe. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. Why not drop a comment and let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. And don't forget to tell your friends about GavsWeatherVids. And we thank you so much everybody for doing that for us. Thank you so much everybody. We're at 16,440 subscribers, by the way. So we need to put on around 60 to get ourselves to 16.5k. That's the next mini target. Of course, the main target is 70. 17K, but be a little bit longer before we get to that, I think. Anyway, please give us a sub, tell friends and subscribe. Thank you so much. Right, GM again with low pressure in from off the Atlantic. I'm back. Gav's back, everybody. Wow. I hope you missed me. Did you miss me? I think one or two of you might not have missed me, actually. Not everybody likes me, but I hope most of you missed me. I know, I think you did. I know you did. I'm only joking. Right, yeah, I'm milking it. Gav's milking it. Milking the moment. Milking the homecoming. Right, yeah. Massage my ego. No, GM, again, low pressure coming in from off the Atlantic on Sunday. Bringing smells of rain. Early next week, turn cool and showery. Don't even world of good bits holiday. I'm really feeling invigorated, I have to say. I'm really up for it, up for the weather at the moment. So GM, again, looks cool and showery for the early part of next week. And then middle of next week, another low pressure pushes through. That brings further spells of rain with it. On up to day 10, just a little bit of a restart to push up from the southwest. But it looks quite transient that the next area of low pressure is in the Atlantic, probably about to roll in and flatten off that ridge. And then the ECM looks like that again, got low pressure right over country for the weekend with showers and or longer spells, rain, rather cool and showery through the open part of next week. Another low coming in through the middle of next week. That's been wet and windy weather with it. And up to day 10, the area of low pressure moves to Scandinavia, high pressure ridge in the Atlantic, and winds going into a cool sort of northwesterly or northerly direction, cool and showery up to the very end of the ECM run, which gets us to the penultimate day of July, the 30th. This is a precipitation forecast based on that ECM run from Meteo.com. Showers at the moment. In comes all of the wet weather as we get into Saturday. So plenty of rain then, longer spells of rain and showers into Sunday, and the open next week looks rather showery too. And we've got another low to bring in later next week, that brings further outbreaks of rain with it from off the Atlantic, followed by lots of showers too. It's an unsettled scenario, no sign whatsoever of any consistent dry weather. These are the options on the table within the ECM Ensemble today for day 10. Gets us to the 30th of July. From the Oceanic Met Office, 22 members of the ECM Ensembles with low pressure over and to the east of the coast, that's looking cool and wet. 20 with low pressure in the North Atlantic into Northern Europe, that's looking very unsettled too. And 9 with low pressure to our east and northeast, high pressure in the Atlantic. The winds coming in from a cool and a showery northerly type direction. In 2 weeks' time, these are the options that we've got. This will get us to the 4th of August. 17 members of the ECM Ensembles with high pressure ridging through the Atlantic. Low pressure to the east. Winds coming in from the northeast direction. So that looks rather cool and showery. 16 with low pressure more or less centred over the top of the country. So that's going to be quite cool and showery. But 12, look at this. Bit of a change. High pressure ridging in from the Azores. I'm going to go that over top with it being particularly warm. But that will certainly be warmer and drier. That's going with like the GFS midnight run scenario, that one. And then 6 down here with low pressure across northern France, high pressure across Iceland, and winds will be coming in from an east-northeast direction. That's going to be cool and wet, I think, with low pressure in the south, being quite a bit of rain to more southern parts of the country. Most of the options still look a little bit of a cool showery side, I have to say, even at 2 weeks out. There is the possibility, as we saw with GFS midnight, but we now see with these 12 here, there is a possibility that it turns drier and warmer through the first week of August, but I wouldn't be all that confident about it at the moment. CFS B2 finally beats the 500 millibar height, and lines breaking down in 2 week periods. The first week period rotation for 20th, 26th of July. The coming week, or this week, has low pressure over to the east country, high pressure in the Atlantic, winds in from the north, looking cool and wet in the weekend, or cool and unsettled. Anyway, week 2 is going to be the 27th of July, 2nd of August, low pressure again to the east, so change the colour. High pressure is out to the west, winds coming in from a northwesterly direction, so that looks cool and unsettled as well. Week 3 It's going to be the 3rd. So the 9th of August, low pressure again is owed to the east coast, high pressure out to the Atlantic. Winds coming in from northwesterly direction. That looks cool and showery. Week 4 is going to be the 10th to 16th of August. High pressure in the middle of the Atlantic and over on the east side of Europe. That high pressure will bring very hot air probably up the east side of Europe. This white area is likely in reality to be some sort of trough of low pressure. It probably keeps things unsettled for more western portions of Europe. No sign there of sustained build of high pressure before the middle of August. Oh dear, oh dear, oh dear. Right, so we're done. If you enjoyed the video, please can you like, share and subscribe. Thank you so much everybody for doing that. Why not drop a comment? Let us know what you think about this and all of our videos. And don't forget to share friends about GavsWeatherVids. We thank you so much, everybody, for doing that for us. Right, well, we're back in business with the videos and the content. I think that went all right, didn't it? I think I got back into it. A little bit of a slow start, wasn't it? A little bit of a slow start to that one, but I got back into it, didn't I, as we went along. It never leaves you. It doesn't matter how long I take off, you know. I can soon get back into it, as I found last year when I was off for like 2 or 3 months, wasn't I? When I had to have the operation and that. So yeah, you know, I soon pick it back up again. So I think we went all right with that one. Well, that's it for today's content anyway. Tomorrow we're going to have a 6 AM UK weather forecast. There'll be GMA Friday, 10 to 14 day coming up for you tomorrow as well. So do keep checking back to the channel for more. If you could give us a sub and like and share, all of that good stuff, comment, and thank you so much for doing that. And we'll see you with more updates and content tomorrow. For this one though, that's all for now, and thanks so much.